Hajime Isayama is the manga artist behind the critically acclaimed anime giant Attack on Titan. But when bro decided to enter into a manga competition at 21 years old, the judges labeled him the worst artist in the competition's history. So how did this broke and insecure 21-year-old working out of an internet cafe with scratchy lines, wonky proportions, and whatever the this is, going to sell hundreds and millions of copies and create one of the biggest anime franchises of the 2010s? You see, I wondered the same thing when I decided to read AOT after its first season, and even though I was about 12 years old, I could tell those drawings were terrible. So I went down the rabbit hole, and what started off as genuine curiosity actually revealed a story which inspired me to pick up the pen, and it could do so for you as well. It's a hot summer day in 1990s Oita Prefecture, Japan. Isayama watches fondly as his elementary school friends draw, because just like them and a lot of other kids in 90s Japan, Isayama wants to become a manga artist. But unlike his friends, he can't draw. Grown up in a less than urban area situated within the mountains of Hita, Isayama has been around the same faces since he was in grade school. Thus, being a late bloomer, he feels that he is physically, intellectually, and socially worse than everyone around him. Being different from others, however, also gives him a sense of confidence that maybe he can separate from the bunch and bloom into something even more beautiful. And so, as the days go on, and childhood potential is exchanged for adulthood pragmatism, his friends stop drawing, but Isayama protects his dreams.
I was scared of being a run-of-the-mill tree with run-of-the-mill leaves that would blend right into the forest.
He doesn't want to lead the typical scripted life of the Japanese office worker, and so he's determined to become a manga artist. Good for him, right? Well, there's a slight problem. Isayama is in high school now, and his father just found something. It's Isayama's drawings, and according to him, they are so bad that he can't possibly support his son in pursuing this career. He simply doesn't believe that Hajime can make it out the hood drawing manga.
お前は漫画家になれねえ。お前は漫画家になれんっつって。本人のまず思ったのが絵が下手。
But here's the thing. Isayama is an incredibly insecure young man with a superiority complex, which means he has 2 out of the 3 traits of highly successful people.
So, the 3 most common traits of hyper successful people that they looked at, and it was interesting because the influencer world wants to be like, you have to wake up at 5 or you have to do cold plunges or whatever the fuck, right? But there was actually very few that they all had in common. So number 1 was that they had a superiority complex. They thought they were better than other people and that they deserved more. The second is that they suffered from massive insecurity and feeling that they would never be enough. And third, they had impulse control. And so you've got this combination of people who are like, I want to do this big thing. So this big toward thing. And they've got this big away pain that's like, I'm never going to be enough. I always have to do more. And then they have impulse control that keeps them focused on the goal.
And so with a chip on his shoulder, Isayama is relentless, going full steam on ahead towards his goals, submitting to manga competitions, justifying what to others seemed like ugly drawings with quotes such as, just as everyone's handwriting is unique to them, I think my art is idiosyncratic to me in its ugliness. People get a kick out of it and it somehow catches on. And better to have memorable art, even memorably bad art, and stand out. Isayama is now approaching his later years of high school and is now inspired by artists such as Tsutomu Nihei of Blame, Gentaro Miura of Berserk, and George Morikawa of Hajime no Ippo. These are all amazing artists who also stand out because of their artwork, but they stand out because they are good. When you put Isayama side by side with these great artists, you can tell that he falls incredibly short. So in hopes to improve and perhaps get rid of these feelings of inferiority, Isayama enrolls into the Kyushu Institute of Design in Fukuoka near his hometown. But when he enrolls, he is hit with the realization that the students here are a lot better than him. So he picks up the pencil, but unlike what you'd want him to do, which is make good use of his time as a student and become better at drawing, bro just starts spamming a bunch of really rough storyboards. Now, Isayama is not entirely wrong in doing this, because in any form of sequential or visual storytelling, storyboard or nemu as it's referred to in Japan, creates the groundwork for the composition, timing, character acting, and the overall feel of how a story is being presented to the viewers. A great storyboard artist requires an in-depth understanding of cinematography principles alongside the drawing fundamentals. Marco Matteo Mastre, one of the best story artists in the industry and the author of the renowned book Framed Ink, showcases how one can use their understanding of the visual language to seamlessly immerse you into their worlds in such a simple yet masterful way. Storyboards, however, also widely vary in style depending on the project is contributing towards. Live action directors like Bong Joon-ho's drawings are rudimentary, but effective for the purposes of filming the Oscar-winning Parasite. Disney story artist Emily Sue keeps her drawings loose and stylized with an emphasis on emotive character acting, a hallmark of the Disney style. Song Yun Kim, on the other extreme, is highly detailed and realistic in his approach to storyboards. Now, the problem with drawing only storyboards as a manga artist, however, is that manga storyboards are very simple. Even the most renowned artists in the industry like Yusuke Murata minimize their storyboards to the level of blobby stick figures. And if Murata was to spend all his time on these without ever making the likes of these, I'm not sure if One Punch Man would have been anything more than a webcomic, and if one's storytelling abilities would have ever been highlighted into the mainstream. But that's what Isayama is doing here. The people around him, his parents, peers, and teachers are judging him very harshly on the basis of his finished product. But Isayama's confidence relies on the fact that he's able to think outside of the box, whatever the fuck that means. Either he's mentally unstable, or he's a genius. Luckily for him, the school he goes to has planned a group submission trip to Tokyo. Isayama finally has a chance to test the waters and show people back home that not only can he talk the talk, but he can also walk the walk. Isayama is so nervous that his stomach hurts. For those with the goals of making it in the manga business, going to editors is like going to a really prestigious job interview. The fear of rejection is crippling, yes, but this is not going to stop him from submitting his work. Of course not. This was a dream that began in grade school. So unless he hears the words, "You won't make it," from someone who actually knows what the fuck they're on about, he will never give up. So he grabs the pages of his first draft, the Shingeki no Kyojin one-shot, and with eyes full of hope, he goes from publishing company to company showcasing his work. They say that fortune favors the bold, and just as Isayama expected, he's criticized for his artwork. Your style is too rough looking, they say.
I thought it was great personally, but I figured that most aspiring manga artists must feel that way, and that I was just another one of those.
Alright, take a look at this. This is the first ever draft of the Attack on Titan one-shot. No, not the rough storyboards that Isayama was religiously drawing. No, these are the manuscript pages from the one-shot that he submitted to the Weekly Shonen magazine editorial department in 2006. It looks like it was drawn by a 12-year-old. With a lot of potential, of course, but Isayama was 19 when he made this. When I decided to take art seriously in late 2019, I really liked this one video from Psychro where he breaks down the fundamentals of art.
So I made this chart, and basically it goes over a few different art jobs, not all of them of course. And then I have a list of the fundamentals. And then it also shows, what amount of skill do you need for that specific career.
You can see here that becoming a professional mangaka or a comic book artist actually requires a high level of skill across all the fundamentals except for color theory. Now, if you were to plot down Isayama's skills into this chart, it would look something more along the lines of this. Now, don't get me wrong here. These pages feature some really cool designs, and the story is the draft of Attack on Titan, which automatically means it has immense potential, but the art doesn't support the weight of the story. Only if Isayama had spent a bit more time trying to get his understanding of form and perspective up to moderate levels, referenced an anatomy book here and there, and sprinkled in some gestural concept into his work, perhaps the editors would have actually given his story a read. Manga art doesn't necessarily have to be beautiful. It just needs to reach a certain standard where the incompetence within the artist isn't distracting away from the story. But apparently for these editors, Isayama's idiosyncratic qualities was a wall too big to look over. Thus, the once hopeful 19-year-old is sitting hopelessly at the offices of Kodansha.
Your drawing has strength in it.
Isayama's rejoiced.
When my manga was acknowledged by others for the first time, it made me extremely happy. Thinking back, I wanted to convey my wishes of creating an imaginative manga, and the editor likely resonated with that. I recognize that point now.
When he was 19 years old, he brought the manga, and I was so impressed by this image. Although the level of drawing wasn't extraordinary, I could feel him pouring his soul into his work from this image.
Isayama's idiosyncratic qualities are finally noticed by the editors at the Basatsu Shonen magazine, and so he's referred to Kawakubo. Kawakubo sees the immense potential of Isayama's storytelling, but Isayama, being only 19 at the time, has a lot more practicing to do before he's to actualize his potential in the pages of shonen magazines. So, Kawakubo demands more from Isayama, pushing him to practice drawing action scene illustrations by completely redrawing chapters of Hajime no Ippo, and trying to get rid of his scratchy and nervous lines by redrawing romance shoujo mangas that have really cute female characters. Isayama returns back to Oita Prefecture, Japan, but not before getting validation that his middle school dreams and the confidence that he assumed were not just delusions. Isayama's back and he's happy that he got validation, but within these confined mountains of Hita, Isayama can only identify as a failure. As such, like a bird trapped in a cage, Isayama feels like he has the potential to fly much higher, and so seeking for the freedom that lies on the other side of those mountains. In 2006, a 20-year-old Hajime Isayama packs his bags and moves to Tokyo to work in an internet cafe. Alright, first course of action. Enter into the magazine Grand Peaks manga competition held by Kodansha. Submission, the Attack on Titan one-shot. Yo, they liked it. The young mangaka has been awarded the Fine Work Award. Say less, light work, man. Second course of action. Work part-time in the Ikebukuro internet cafe. Get paid so Isayama can afford to pursue his dreams. Oh look, it's drunk Japanese customers and they come like zombies. Isayama's writing something down. Oh look, it's her again. She's cute, but why is she always wearing that red muffler? And why is bro always taking notes like a creep when she's around? Third course of action. Work on more manga projects and submit it to shonen competition. Get feedback and improve accordingly. Submission, oars. Damn man, Isayama wins another award, the weekly shonen magazine Newcomer prize. This is Isayama's first ever manga to run in a commercial magazine. But what does that text there on the left say? The worst art in the awards history is crazy, man.
I personally felt back then that I didn't deserve having professional skill level, even as a goal to pursue. I didn't have the drive to improve. Thinking back, my attitude was awful.
Are you serious right now, bro?
Luckily for Isayama though, Oars has been noticed. It's Sato Yuki, the mangaka behind Tomodachi Game, and not only is he encouraging Isayama to continue his work, but he's also invited Isayama to become his assistant. But having to keep up with a mangaka that actually values draftsmanship stretches Isayama beyond his abilities. And so Isayama finally accepts that good draftsmanship and storyboarding both go hand in hand in the creation of a great manga. It's been 2 years since Isayama moved to Tokyo. He's been on his grind, entering competitions, talking to drunk customers and working with other mangakas, all whilst going back and forth with Kawakubo since the very start. And so he expresses his genuine concerns of feeling like he's more than ready to become a professional manga artist, at which point Kawakubo suggests taking that old one-shot of his and turning it into a full series. Isayama never expected Kawakubo to suggest such a thing. He'd almost even forgotten about that one shot. But Kawakubo's reminder has given fuel to Isayama's flame. And so with youthful zest, Isayama puts all his eggs into one basket and for the next 6 months spends all his time fleshing out and creating the world of It's finally time to pitch his work. Nervously clutching the manuscript he's poured the last 6 months of his life into, Isayama reminisces being 19 again. After all, this is the same manga, the same title that he presented on that school trip back in 2005. Back then, all he wanted was just to make enough money to feed himself with his art. But he's 23 now, and everything he's learned in the last 4 years has gone into creating what he thinks is his best work to date. So with his sights set high, he says, quote, "Fuck it, I guess," and takes his work into the world-renowned offices of Shueisha in hopes to get published in the weekly Shonen Jump. Now, Shonen Jump is like the Marvel comics of the manga world, publishing legendary works like One Piece, Dragon Ball, Naruto, Slam Dunk, Death Note, and so much more. Having the opportunity to be published alongside these giants would be life-changing for Isayama.
Your work is fantastic.
Thank you.
However, you have to realize that the typical reader of a shonen magazine is 13 to 17 years old, and with the, dark and mature themes within your work, we're not so sure if it'll reach popularity. But we do have an offer for you. As long as you make these very simple changes to fit the shonen style, we're sure, Isayama-san, that Attack on Titan will climb the ranks of Shonen Jump. How's that sound? Is that a deal?
Isayama was someone who derived his whole confidence from the fact that he was able to think outside of the box and separate his work from the rest. To sedate the complexity within his work to fit a certain mainstream ideal would be negating the very thing that pushed Isayama to make manga to begin with. And so with a courageous leap of faith, Isayama has declined the offer from Shonen Jump and so heads to Kodansha. Already having built a relationship with Kawakubo and this publishing company since 2009, 3 years after Isayama moved to Tokyo, Attack on Titan is finally serialized in the Basatsu Shonen magazine without any compromise to Isayama's vision. And this time, fortune does favor the board because Isayama's manga quickly gains popularity. Receiving award after award, Isayama is quickly rising to the top as a prominent mangaka. It's 2013 and Attack on Titan receives an anime adaptation from Studio Wit. What's this? Attack on Titan has become an international success, something Isayama nor Kawakubo ever expected. Giving the characters English names was just an accident, but that alongside the universal theme of freedom has helped Attack on Titan attract an immense global following. From being an insecure kid with a chip on his shoulder to now his work becoming one of the most watched animes in the entire world, Isayama has come a long way. Naturally, as Attack on Titan has become a household name, people have started discussing Isayama's work on internet forums and social media. And so, being the insecure Donnie that he is, he starts indulging in these hate comments. And so he has constant arguments with his editors, wanting to make the manga more easy to understand, as Isayama only complicates the story even more, remaining stubborn in his vision. And Kawakubo tells Isayama on the cloak there is a symbol of the Survey Corps, but the number of feathers is different in each panel. Bro, readers are paying you for your work, so let's draw more carefully. Isayama responds with something along the lines of, "Hey bro, I'ma do it because you helped me get paid, but personally, I don't think it's that deep." In chapters with cool scenes, Kawakubo suggests ways to make the drawings even cooler, but Isayama would say, "I want to make it cool, but not that cool." But with some resilience and guidance alongside the maturity that comes with age, Isayama's distinct vision and potential is being actualized within these panels. And so even when the viewership drops drastically with the release of chapter 91 and the story switches from the main protagonist to the Marnie characters, Isayama doesn't budge. You see, extraordinary skill isn't achieved by doing extraordinary things, but rather by doing ordinary things for an extraordinary amount of time. And so after struggling for years, Isayama finally finds his stride, and Attack on Titan goes on to be serialized for 11 years. And now, the conclusion draws closer and closer. The familiar doubts of the distant past have started to creep back upon the now highly respected and successful Isayama. He has a massive, dedicated fan base with soaring expectations. Attack on Titan has been for many the best anime and manga of the last decade. How the manga will conclude will dictate the overarching message of this whole series. Isayama doesn't want to disappoint his viewers. Ever since the start of Attack on Titan, Isayama wanted to explore themes of self-righteousness in an attempt to critique the oversimplification of viewpoints as being either right or wrong, as reality tends to be much more nuanced than just that. In the story, Eren transforms from a boy, a shonen, who simply wants to kill the evil monsters that ate his mother, to a man that enacts genocide upon a divided world and hopes to become a common enemy that everyone unites to kill. So imagine Batman, but instead of Bruce Wayne, it's Hitler. So this is where the problem comes from. When Isayama was in middle school and decided that he wanted to tell stories that were different from the simple shonen conventions, he'd already set himself up for struggle and suffering. In order to truly appreciate Isayama's message requires a reading past the superficial, but the typical viewer of mainstream shonen anime isn't necessarily going to do that. They take what they see at face value and some get confused, some get pissed off because they think Isayama is trying to promote genocide. A lot of people don't get a definitive victory screen and pass it off as being a mediocre end to the story. So naturally, to articulate this message in a manner that would live up to the story expectations whilst keeping the integrity of his vision was a nightmare. Yo, look at this guy. He doesn't want to articulate a well-thought-out message about human self-righteousness. Bro wants to play on his Nintendo Switch. But being an artist, he understands that the war of art beats the shit out of anyone who chooses to participate in it. It will bombard you with this infinite ammunition of doubt until you are rendered defenseless against the feeling of inadequacies that were there even before you stepped foot on the battlefield. But for the artist who stayed true and persevered to the end, it promises you the discovery of your highest self. So he did it. After 11 years and 8 months of serialization, Attack on Titan finally concluded on April 2021. The story of Hajime Isayama is a story of an artist who persevered and pursued his dreams even when his father doubted him. The industry criticized his work for being too rough and his story for being too complex.
You know, much like Isayama, I had this distinct vision of wanting to become an artist and an art YouTuber when I started making videos, but for some reason I started making videos about self-development, which is cool, I guess, right? Because I do like fitness and self-development, but after a while it just feels like I'm saying the same shit over and over again, bro. And I don't just want to be that guy, bro. Yo, my goal is to just become the best artist and to be able to support myself in order to pursue that dream. And I think YouTube can do that for me, but yo, who knows, man. I'm gonna keep my head up though, and I'm gonna keep on posting high quality YouTube videos like this. And yo, thank you for watching. Hope you like it. And I'm gonna make more. The next one is gonna be about either animation or Kim Jong-ki. So yo, keep an eye out for that. I'm out. Thank you for watching.